Here we go, friends. Happy Tuesday. Hello to my friend Lucas. How the heck are you?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm excellent. Just came off a little stream talking about brand photography, and now we segue nicely right into our talk about Instagram, about metrics. You and I spend so much time talking about the visuals, the design, and as long as I'm a part of this conversation, I'll still steer us there. But we, to make this series complete, which, by the way, friends, if you're joining us, you haven't seen the show, this show builds on itself. So our goal is that by the end of it, you're going to have 11 amazing episodes that are like a course. Pardon me, I'm swallowing my tongue.
That's how
It's going to
exciting
be
the
like,
news is.
yeah, that's how exciting the news is. It's going to be literally like a course. And Lucas and I realize we haven't talked
Yeah.
numbers, but we need to talk numbers. Do we not, Lucas? Is that not hugely important?
Again, we obviously have shown off some amazing social media designs on this series, but at the end of the day, one of the reasons we make nice designs is to hopefully get nice numbers, nice metrics, nice reach. So, yes, it is very important that that's what we're going to be chatting about today and kind of combining the strategy with the aesthetic, right? Here's what you can do to not only make your content look nice, like I said, we've talked about that quite a bit, but also here's how to optimize your content. Here are all the boxes you want to check off to make sure that the content you're putting out there and making look very nice, of course, is also going to get seen. It is going to get shared. It's going to get saved. It's going to leave some nice comments. And which one am I forgetting? People are going to double tap it and hit that like button to also tell you that your content is good. So, we're going to be diving into all of those things today, aren't we?
We are. I can always count on you to be our social media sensei. And thanks for buying time while I took a sip of tea, settled my voice. We're ready to rock now, officially. Should we go to your screen?
Yes, we should. So, of course, as anyone who has been following Social Media Makeover since episode one, episode two, or beyond, we like to give you a nice little template that you can work with in Adobe Express when you are tuning into these shows. And today
Yes.
we are getting into, it's not going to help you design, like I said, but it's going to help you plan and track your super important metrics. So it is a nice 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper that you can print out or work with digitally and then print out. But what we're looking at here is nice and simply, it is a before posting checklist, making sure that you're getting all the nice info that has gone into an optimized post. And then an after posting, I like to say 1 week later, you could do 1 month later, you could do a few days later. It's really up to you and what your goals are and what you want to track. But this is your after posting checklist. So
Mm.
I always like how all like put the info into the template and then I give it to you, Phil. And then before we go live, you jazz it up and make it look nice. So I love what
You
I'm
come
seeing
back and it
here.
looks cuter. You're welcome.
Exactly. And it's going to stand out more, right? It's going to be easy to track. But the idea here is that you're going to just keep duplicating these pages, which is super
Yeah.
easy. Just duplicate them. Now you have another post, you have another sheet, and you can endlessly do this to really just have a nice compiled location where all your posts can be tracked. I've designed this from what I like to do for brand campaigns. So when I'm working
Mm.
with a brand partner, obviously analytics are going to be everything. They want to know that partnering with me and creating content has led to success. And if it hasn't, they want to know maybe where or why that happened. And of course, so do I, so I can
Hmm.
improve on that in the future. But this is a great document for tracking all of that. We're going to basically look at pasting the piece of content here, which you can easily just, screenshot and then paste into Adobe Express directly from your Instagram. If you're designing the content in Adobe Express, you can put it right in here too. We'll be showing those. And you're just going to keep track of when you posted it, what type of content it was. So, was it a educational post? Was it a promotional post? Things like that. You're going to preview the first line or hook of the caption because that is what's going to grab people's attention. And we'll be maybe diving into that social preview add-on you like to use to show how
Yes.
we can really optimize that and why it's important. What the content format was. Was it a reel? Was it a carousel? Was it a single image? the category that can get into some more specific campaigns and whatnot, and then the call to action you used. And I think we're actually gonna be talking about call to actions the most today. CTA, you've probably seen it all over the place, but it means what are you asking the people who see your content to do? A little sneak peek into one of the posts we're going to be looking at today and that we'll be working with, and maybe I'll segue from here is your call to action is basically directing the audience after they have consumed your content. Where are you taking them next? You've already grabbed their attention. You've got them to read something. You've got them to swipe through something. Well, don't just say goodbye and then call it a day. You want them to then, click your link in bio, visit your website, do all that fun stuff. So we're going to be working with that template. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me. I think there's some important reminders here, friends, is that we put so much emphasis on creating the content, but that's really only part of this. So much. It's kind of like baking a cake and then not putting icing on it. Like you're almost the way there, but creating the content is not the entire picture. You need to do a little bit of planning before you post
Yeah.
and do a little bit of reflection and analytics gathering after you post. And we're hoping that the framework that we give you today really fits nicely into what we've been doing for many episodes leading up to this. We've talked in detail about endless content ideas, I think was one of our last streams, like coming
Yep.
up with like your content types or your content buckets. That's a whole other stream. Educational, promotional, those types. You remember those. um this is a really good, I love how you frame it as a checklist, because we can
Hmm.
literally work through this list with every single post. You mentioned sponsored content. I would say even the organic content, the types of posts that you're posting, so that the brands find you and are impressed by that high traffic type content. Like, Lucas, is there something you can post that's going to get a lot of shares and saves, that's
Yeah.
guaranteed?
And like we spoke about, like I have some specific content examples loaded up right here on Instagram.
Of
That's a reel.
course you
Let's wait
do.
on that one. But this is like my go-to carousel. I have the analytics pulled up here. I'll do some zooming in a moment. And the post that I had shared here, this would be a carousel in a new style that I'm looking to bake up and shift to, which we'll be talking about in the next few weeks, I'm sure. And we'll play with that a bit too as well.
Yeah.
But a carousel post like this, super simple, to the point, how to do this. That's my typical hook. How to achieve XYZ is going to typically get me some great results. And looking at the analytics, which I'm on the Instagram desktop mode, of course, they've
Yeah,
they've juiced up the analytics a bit. I haven't
they
seen
have.
this always, so it's nice to actually have this feature finally that we can
I think with
use.
the launch of the editing app, like Instagram decided, instead of gatekeeping all of these analytics, they're kind of like bringing us into the fold on it. Like, thanks,
Yes,
Instagram. You're about 4 years too late, but better
right.
than nothing. We'll take it.
But looking at some things that matter, what stands out? What are some things you probably want as a content creator? Well, views, just so anybody knows, again, we do like to tailor this series to Instagram because it is such a powerful business and creative platform. Views are what Instagram calls all content reach now. So it used to be where a view was specific to Instagram Reels, views were specific to stories. So yeah, your video content. Now, views are just how many times was your content seen? And you'll notice here that I have 83,000 views on this post, which again is a carousel, no video here, and it's reached 55,000 accounts. So what that means is there's been some doubling up. So that I've reached 55,000 accounts, but some of those people, close to 1.1.5 people, viewers, have viewed it twice. So I think I'm doing some terrible math there.
That's
Most
okay. You're
people
not a
who,
math teacher.
yeah,
You're not a
half
math
the people
teacher.
who have seen this, well, I am, but half the
Oh,
people
you
who have
are.
seen
Damn it.
this,
You
half the
are,
people who have
Lucas.
seen this viewed it a
It's
second
just because
time,
you're it's just because
which
you're nervous because people are watching and listening and doing the calculations. Don't worry.
which is why we're almost at double the amount of accounts reached in views. So you can't expect those numbers to always be the same. It's nice that we have followers seeing it, non-followers. You can even see from home and explore, which is great. And something we've been sharing and how to get your content seen more and more. Like we said, we've dabbled into like how to get that content that gets really good reach. And many people are seeing home replace things like explore in their reach these days. What that means for most people is that recommendation content. So I'm sure we've all seen that now where it's
Yep.
Instagram recommending or it says suggested for you on a post that you're seeing on the feed, which you don't follow that person. It's a brand new account, but the algorithm is deciding, I'm going to show Phil this post. That's where a lot of this new home reach comes from. In addition, of course, to your actual pre existing followers seeing your content. But those are some of the nice, juicy metrics that we, of course, want to see. And if we
Well,
pop back into our chart, we can record those there.
nice, juicy metrics. Sorry to interrupt you, but you're used to it by now. Nice, juicy metrics that didn't exist like 2 weeks ago. Like this is fresh off the press. I mean, really, like this is these numbers used to be gate kept by Instagram, and
Yeah.
the fact that they've launched their native editing app um, has kind of meant that now they've decided, along with that, we want to, kind of harmonize those metrics and call it views, not just for videos, but also carousel, static image posts. It's just an exciting time where now you've got access to this. So we want to be thinking, how do we create great content? But then how do we go back, crunch the numbers, not even have to crunch them? We saw you try to crunch them, Lucas, and well, you did your best, math teacher. Like have a simple format like this where you just pop the numbers into there. Listen, I almost choked in the first 5 minutes of this stream, so let me give you a hard time too to make it equal.
It's amazing that we've made it here, isn't it?
I
But yes,
love
this
this
is
template.
this is real. And again, we're going to keep using the word checklist, but something I like to use this for is again, it's editable. You can delete what you don't want from this. With all forms of templates, I would suggest before you do change anything, duplicate it and always save one page that has the original. That way you can always go back to it. And if you do accidentally delete something, we won't go into version history, which is very useful in Adobe Express. We used that last week, last episode, I believe. But keep an original so you can continue to duplicate it and go back when you need to. But let's say you're looking through here and thinking of what metric you want. I always say don't give people too many choices, right? If you try to tell people to do 7 things, they aren't going to do any of them. So go with one key call to action. So maybe
Mm.
I am going with saves, right? Saves is going to be what I'm focusing on from here. I'm going to pop over to that post. And now I want to make sure that the post is optimized for saves, which is why I've pulled up this nice template. It's obviously not a polished post. It is a template that I would load into my brand here in Adobe Express, and I can pull out and use whenever I need, regardless of what the topic is. But if this is a case where I know I want to go for saves, let's say I'm sharing something that's very educational, very informational, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that the text reflects that. Save this for later, right? Put that in there. There we go. Double it up, make it bigger, make it nice. And then we can go ahead and look for some elements that are going to help make that even more obvious, right? Let's see, like,
Also, can you share me on this document? I think I'm on the
oh,
template, but not
yes.
on your duplicated version. And then I'll help you instead of just sitting here and watching you.
We always do
So,
love to show
friends,
off. I think the benefit of a
we
two-person
do.
show is how much we can collaborate in real time and actually
No, I know.
be
There's
working
we
on this.
can actually get a lot done together. But I decided to, instead of just sit here and watch you, I thought, oh, I better actually jump in and help you. You'd probably appreciate it.
So all I did was type in save, right? Because I want to go ahead and use a save icon. And of course, we have so many to choose from. You can go with the old school floppy disk. I've used this and I've had a lot of fun because sometimes people like forget this icon existed, even though I'm pretty sure there's a floppy disk emoji that is still keeping
Mm-hmm.
that memory strong. But of course, if you want something that is more typical and looks like the social media save icon, there are tons of options. The reason why I'm saying this though is if you want people to save your content, put a save icon in it right over where people will save your post on Instagram. So if we're talking saves, I believe it goes right here. I'm gonna go ahead and put that right there. So when someone is viewing this post, it'll obviously be much smaller on the main feed, right above where they can hit the save button. I am putting this right here. I've seen people who do things like this for their calls to action. Let's do heart, right? And now we're going to test my Instagram knowledge here and see how much I have it memorized. But I think it goes likes, right? I'm going to even delete. Let me move this up here. But I think on Instagram it goes likes first, comments second. Does that sound right to you?
Mm-hmm.
Comments second.
And these are just keywords that you're typing in to
Very
find,
easy.
yeah, these
Message, comment.
icons that are already created. You're also, can I point something out visually? You're
Yep.
choosing the same style of icons, really
Yes.
important. You've got the outlines, you've got the filled in icons. I mean, it's always ideal if you're a graphic designer, you can create these in Illustrator, bring them over via library. But if you're not, then try to stick with something that is the same line weight. Or when all else fails, go with a filled in icon like these because um, it's a really easy style to match if you're kind of creating an icon set.
I love that too because there's part of me that really loves like the kind of like Illustrator sketch drawing style that you might get if you're looking at like the design assets here. Sometimes
Yes,
I like seeing those, but I'm not gonna all of a sudden put like this airplane right
I
here,
think you
right?
should.
You know, and scroll down my content in a week, and maybe you'll see a
Yeah.
nice little very realistic airplane flying in there. But that is a great
April
tip.
Fool's Day
I
has
do
already
love.
passed. You're going to have to wait a year.
We got a whole year. Well, not quite a year, but we got about 11 months. But yeah, it's nice to be able to just make sure it all matches. It ties it all together. So there we go. That is basically going to give someone the whole roster of things they can do with my post. But if I'm going for saves above all, I'm going to make sure that is key. That is what the text is saying. And you'll look at some of the content that I've shared. This is the problem with me using a background that is the same color as my desktop here. But let me back out of this. Find that post again. Oh, there we go. And if I scroll through it, it's a very simple
Hmm.
post. Very,
Very.
very simple. But I'm gonna zoom in. Come on, Instagram. There we go. But I put right here, share this post if you're going to give it a try. Right? Secondary, if you want my free daily story planning worksheet, just comment plan on this post now. But I didn't say like this post. Oh, tell me a comment what you learned from it. Don't forget to
You
share it.
chose
Don't
one.
forget to save. Yeah, I chose one, and then I'm also having a call to action here, which is using automation. But most importantly, I want people to share. And we've definitely seen that shares are the most important metric to focus on when we are on Instagram, but really most social media platforms nowadays. Platforms want people sharing your content because that's going to give someone a notification every time a post is shared to them to reopen that app and see what was sent to them. And when they're sent a post, they're not just going to stop on that one piece of content you shared. They're going to stick around a while, scroll, see some ads, and obviously the platforms like that very much.
Yes. Yes. And yes. I think it's kind of like if you're giving people three doors to walk through, then they
Yep,
have to choose. Whereas if you just say, here's one door, walk through it, you've made the choice for them. And people on
exactly.
Instagram are always like half paying attention, right? I was looking at my it keeps track on your phone how your usage, daily
Okay.
and weekly usage. Oh my god, I'm horrified. I spend 6 hours a day looking at my phone. I'm like, when? But it just happens right in between calls, before, after, etc. So think about just really making that easy for people to take the action that you want them to take. And it fits in with the strategy that you've already devised before you've created and posted. You filled
Exactly.
out the template. You've already thought actively, I'm going to make a post that's designed for people to share it.
So if that's the goal here, You can do the front page. We just designed the final page, which I think is interesting too. It's not bad to start with the end of your post, right? I
Yep.
can maybe share this here. I like our nice little border we have, so I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that pops out from behind. But I can make sure that here we are highlighting this post. I'm gonna plop that over here. I don't need this anymore because that's the instructions. You make it your own. And now I can fill in the details, right? It was posted on May 13th, 2025. It is an educational carousel. Maybe if I'm doing the caption and I want to preview it, we can make sure it's focused on, something that is going to get someone to save that post. It's also
Yep.
okay to even make the hook of that. Save this so you don't forget this information, right? Something that is just going to be right to the point. Sometimes I've experimented with my caption beginning with a call to action just because I don't need people to
Mm.
read all the way to the bottom. I don't know if they will. So that's another thing to make sure you can have your content optimized. A week later, I might come back and check what the metrics were to see if I accomplished that goal. That's really what we want people doing.
And we're trying to keep it simple. We know we're talking analytics. Don't you dare fall asleep because this is probably one of the most important things that we've talked about in this series. It's really important. I know we got a lot of creatives hanging out with us today or watching the replay. We know the joy that you get is in creating the content, but it's super important. Like a sandwich, if the meat of the sandwich is the content you're creating, we need that kind of before step, which is that strategy, and that after step after posting. Lucas said about 1 week after. Just keep an eye on those analytics and note it down. This isn't just if you're doing brand deals. It's certainly, I think, near required if you are working with a
Yes,
brand. They want to see this, as you mentioned, and as I know. But it also should just be a good habit to get into for the content that you're posting so that you're taking those few extra seconds to self reflect and go, huh, what did I do well? What could I do better? What I'm going to take away from this and implement next time? And is that not kind of the strategy you followed, Lucas, to be able to grow into hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram?
it is. And it's exactly why I have searched up a certain template here, which is infographic, because as you said, it comes down to picking the content that works and is going to help you accomplish your goals. If my goal is, as you just pointed out, might not be a brand partnership, my goal might be I want to grow my audience. Well,
Yeah.
from creating and sharing a lot of content, I've realized for me personally, infographics are a great way to do that. I want to share a quick another post. We can close that one. That's a
Please.
reel
I
for
love
later.
examples.
But we have one I've posted on Instagram right here. What to post for every Instagram format. Again, I just looked up a bunch of icons that I could use. I think this one I had a pack I had already downloaded, but look at these results. We had 825,000 views, which is very hard to get
Look how
nowadays, I
many
will say.
non-followers.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to get to next is followers. Obviously, it's good for them to see it, and 4.6% of 825,000, well, I guess I should go to accounts reached of 600,000 is still a lot of my audience and many followers. But look, 95.4% of these views came from non-followers. So
How?
naturally,
How? Tell us, Sensei, how?
well, it's Instagram's not really helping us because it's, let me see if I can zoom selectively. Oh, I can. Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah.
So if we are looking at follows, let me try to, I think we're in the way. Our heads are in the way. But if I'm looking at follows, what it says, there we go. Can you see it peeking out?
Yeah.
1,109. This is better when we are live in the studio because we can move our heads to
Yeah.
dodge ourselves. But
I know.
1,109 follows
There we
from
go.
this
Thank you,
post. There
Paco.
we go. Right here. That's huge, right? And
That's
this is why we have that
huge.
tracking document because these are, like you said, Instagram's giving us more juice, giving us more in terms of analytics and data. Maybe you don't love data, but you can learn a ton from it. I can see, all right, of those people, how many went to my profile and did something? So visits 2,726, right? Which isn't even like a massive conversion from that many people seeing the post, but that shows how many people are on Instagram and social media to consume content. I say this to creators all the time. Don't expect everybody who sees your post is going to click your link in bio and go visit your store and buy something, right? Or
Yeah.
even leave a comment. It shows how many people, if we are looking at, I believe, 600,000 accounts reached, only 2,700 came and looked at my profile. However, of that, 33 clicked on the link that I have in my bio. That's pretty good, right? That's going to help me
Yeah.
see those metrics. But more importantly, almost half, a little bit less, of people who actually visited my profile followed me after visiting my profile from this post. So that's a good post that's going to tell me, all right, I need to create more just like this. And I want to show this because if you are trying to grow your audience, don't look at likes, don't even look at views, look at how many people followed you from that post. That I call that like the be all and end all of analytics. If someone's seeing that piece of content, often the first post they've ever seen of you, right? If we're talking these non-followers here who saw my content, so this 95% of non-followers, quite a few of them decided to follow me from it. I'm a complete stranger and they clicked
Yeah.
follow. That's saying this content was so good, it made people want to stick around for more. So that's
They
huge. So,
clicked follow because they be, because you have learned from social media
right.
makeover how to
Yeah,
optimize your profile, how to create content that drives these kinds of metrics, right? Think about just the psychology of that for a second. People land on a profile and go, "Oh, well, I need this guy in my life," right?
exactly. They're saying,
It's the
I don't want just
bio,
one
it's
post. I'm going to keep coming back.
yeah. It's the bio, it's the recent posts, it might be the engagement on some of that, it might be comments on the post that resonated. All of this happens by you creating and showing up on the platform. And then I guess I was going to ask you, Lucas, like, how well or how much confidence did you have in that post? Did you think it was going to do as well as it did? Did it surprise you?
I was pretty confident because, and I'll make sure we're back on it. I was confident because I have posted this before, right? I've
Got it.
posted this exact infographic just in a different style, which is why we could even show how quick it is to make it in Adobe Express in a moment.
Mhm.
Taking this exact info, something I've posted before, yeah, it's quite plain here because that matches the style I was going for at the time. But if something works, it's okay to keep recreating it. So I knew this was going to do well. Probably the first time I posted it though, I wasn't surprised that it did well even then because I know people like to have quick shortcuts. They like to have quick wins, and that's what this infographic post does. It quickly tells someone, "Hey, here's what you can post for any Instagram format." And of course, Instagram has a ton. So if I'm looking to try to recreate that post, I would just quickly type in infographic, right? And then I'm already seeing some that could help me with that style. I'm going to see like this one already has icons. Yeah, these are
Yeah.
longer. They're meant for like a pamphlet, but we obviously know we can easily resize it to look like any type of post, including an Instagram post. So let's say I do something like this one,
Yeah, I like that
customize
one.
it. Yeah, because I could do the types of content in these sections and I'm just going to replace them with I'm going to make it more social media. So if I'm going to resize Instagram, Adobe Express knows my Instagram content. I already got the custom being 1080
It
by
does.
1350. We're moving on from square posts is what we've kind of shifted to. I think we've seen that happening where the content is more about that vertical, which I
Yeah.
believe episode 2 is when we focused on that. But I'm going to go ahead and
Oh, good memory.
resize it. Oh, I
While
remember.
you're
And
while you're doing that, Bree says, I hate numbers, but love looking at my analytics. Bree, I hear you, honey. I hear
it
you. I
it makes
mean,
sense.
it makes sense. It makes sense. There's a lot to learn from, and I'm not asking you to stare at them for an entire week. I'm asking you to just dip in 15 minutes max to just jot them down like a journal. That's what our template that we've given you today, the remixable template, kind of gives you that starting point journal to just keep track of how your posts are doing based on numbers.
The numbers are there, so listen to them and they're easy to listen to when you can actually track them in a document, is what I always say. So if
Hmm.
I'm transforming this again, I'm gonna just take some stuff that does work for me from the resize. So delete some things that don't work. Keep the title, what to post for each of the IG formats. I'll work quick here, but it's a nice starting point that is going to help me get the job done that I can easily mix in to meet my goals. Some things I
That's
like to
so
do
cool
when
that
I'm using
you
a
just
template,
took this, yeah, from an infographic template,
it's
but
all there,
decided
right?
there's an yeah, it's all here that decided there's enough elements in here that serve as a starting point, right? You're able to kind
Exactly.
of see that I can change the background color, the fonts, this placement. I can delete a bunch of those things, but there's enough here that's useful as a starting point.
And I think that if people haven't used templates yet, try and do that because you'll be very surprised with how easy it can be to actually, just pick up from there and get started. Like I'm already just basically recreating an infographic that will help me share 4 information points. I want to talk about stories, I want to talk about reels, I want to talk about carousels. So it's going to make it very simple for me to do
For
that.
people that say, I don't really have time to create content, and then they watch you create this in literally 5 minutes. But what's your advice for people that are overwhelmed by that?
If they're overwhelmed by the time required,
Yeah, or just it being a roadblock, thinking that it needs to be a, picture perfect blockbuster.
I say you don't even have to like change the template as drastically as I did, right? You can actually
Yeah.
go with what you like from it and just swap out the words and pictures and then change up the color. So if I'm going for something that's more dark here, it's already starting to look more on brand. And I didn't actually change too much. I would say finding a good starting template is very important. Adobe Express is awesome because its stock templates are updated weekly. There's new ones. I like some of the really cool collections they have. Here,
Yeah.
we'll pop to this one later. But if I'm opening it up and I want to go to templates, some of my favorite things to do as a place to start is to go into curators selects here
Oh, I
or
love that section too.
collaborations. Yeah, so
So good.
if we're clicking on that, like they're already and if you've used Adobe Express and and their templates quite a bit, you'll know if you've been on this section that it updates every week, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's always very trendy, relevant templates. I've seen a lot of this like mocha brown, beige content online this month. So it's telling me that this is very up to date. We have the
Yes.
cyberspace look. We have generative AI templates. We have very like plant themed and nature themed. Some nice design. Granny chic is one that always makes me laugh when I see it. But these are
I
updated
love it though. I love
regularly.
that
Yeah,
aesthetic.
and you can see the quality here. Like if I were making a carousel post, I would maybe go here and have a really good starting point because this already looks very professional. It's already made for Instagram, as you can see in the search keywords for it. This would be a good one to start with, duplicate, and then keep creating with very easily.
Love
So
it.
yeah, take a look here. I could dive into these for a very long time, but there's some very fun ones,
That
and
are
that's the
professionally designed. Someone
yeah.
like you, Lucas, it's like you're not a designer by trade, but that doesn't stop you from creating. If anything, Adobe Express further inspires you because of how plugged in it is to the creative community. I mean, we know that at Adobe Live. We got all kinds of creative people we get to hang out with around here.
This one's making me wish I actually checked here before starting mine because I love this one. I could
Yeah.
easily I could always move on from this project and well, let me show you how quick it is to make both of them. Okay, so
Okay.
if I'm posting for each of the Instagram formats, look at this. I'm just gonna quickly keeping that eat nutritious food headline there that we have. That's gonna become my content format type. That's gonna become where I put all the text to go with it. It's not gonna be about nutritious food for long. It's going to be about
Friends, I while
nutritious
Lucas is
content.
designing, we won't change to my screen yet, but we will once he wraps. Know that if analytics is something that you're interested in, at least from hearing us talk about it, there is a new integration in Adobe Express with Metricool Um, can I talk about it, Lucas, while you design? I'm not gonna, let's not share my
Yes.
screen yet because I want to see you work here,
Yep.
but I'll just kind of talk through a few talking points. I learned this from my dear friend Andy Lambert, who works for Adobe, streams often. He's really excited about this. He's worked on the scheduling side of Adobe Express for quite a while, but now you can analyze your post performance directly in Express. I'll preview it when we get there. Built into calendar, you'll see a new little analytics button, but it's the integration is with Metricool. So if you already have a Metricool account, fantastic. This integration's even better because you don't have to pay as long as you have one account on each social media platform, you don't have to pay a separate subscription. If you are, let's say, managing 5 Instagram accounts for clients, then that is something you would have to subscribe to on Metricool. But it's super cool that we get the power of Metricool directly now in Adobe Express. And once Lucas is done designing, I'll make sure I showcase this in Express for
That
you.
is awesome to like make sure you can again do all the things in one place. You're not opening
Yep.
too many tabs. Basically, all I would do from here, I would add some quick little icons to represent these different social media metrics. And then I would probably pop in those call to action icons, the ones that maybe are relevant, maybe a big comment, maybe a big share icon. But this is pretty much all I would do for this post. I would say it's pretty
And look
much
how quick
all
that
set.
was.
Yeah.
And how you kind of bopped around to get that inspiration. A Perfect says ideas. A Perfect gets a special shout out, by the way, because she mentioned us on her stream earlier.
Oh,
And
very
she's
cool. That's
awesome.
awesome.
Yes.
And again,
And
ideas pop into
Bree
these
just
curator
added it.
selects.
Yes. Okay, Bree said that she just added the Metricool integration. Maybe we should. Maybe I should
Yeah.
hop over to my screen really quickly. Um, when you are looking at your content calendar, so in Adobe Express, boom, I'll start from the homepage. We click schedule. And from there, you're going to say, oh, I've been here before. I, by the way, am a poster the day of. I don't schedule content. I post it in the moment. That's bad. Don't do what I do. Well, it's not bad. I like to just kind of be in the moment.
Everyone's got their own
But
strategy, as we
let's
learned.
get the rest of it. But for clients, I like to schedule it. I'm realizing, Aperva, that I got you mixed up with Idara. I'm sorry. Aperva, we appreciate you, though. You're always here. It wasn't your stream. It was Idara we got the shout out on, Lucas. That just
Oh,
occurred to
very
me in my
nice.
end of day brain. Check this out. Analytics, Metricool, right there. So we don't need to subscribe for an add-on, etc. Click Analytics. Then you select Metricool. And right here, you're going to click Add. Okay. Um, it will then, you'll have to just log in quickly, which I'll do. Logging in, logging in, logging in. Here we go. And I've got a Metricool account.
Oh,
So it's going
awesome.
to find, isn't that awesome? It's going to find um, those accounts that are already connected. There's my Instagram. So, and it's not just Instagram. So even like, for example, I create all my graphics for YouTube in Express. I can be tracking. I just integrated this one today. So there's not a lot to look at, but Instagram works right away. So Bree, you just signed up for this. I love that. This is where you're going to be able to actually track your followers, your growth, following, total content. This reminds me, which we'll tackle next week, Lucas. I need to post more on Instagram. I
Yeah.
overthink it. Look at this
It's those gaps that you
demographics.
can see on the schedule.
Look at this. Look at the metrics. So for all of our friends that were overwhelmed a moment ago because we were talking about numbers and spreadsheets, and I saw all the digital virtual eyes glaze over. I saw it, but it shouldn't, because look how beautiful this is in terms of actually understanding your audience. Metricool has been around for ages. It's like always been a leader in analytics for Instagram and for other social media platforms. It's like just a great platform to be able to digest who your followers are, the performance of your content. So interesting, broken down by city. Isn't that wild? India is one of my top cities. So interesting. That's probably from YouTube. Videos get a lot of circulation in India. I don't know if you know, Lucas, but I'm a celebrity in India. That's a joke. That's a
Awesome.
joke. That's a joke. Okay, so yeah, cool, right? So I can see recent content performance, organic content summary. There is more than I need here. But if anything, this is just super inspirational on why you should be creating, And then again, taking that extra step to take some of the information here, pop it into your template, and ready to rock.
And
We can
the
go
good
back
thing
to
is
your
too, you can
screen if
just
you want.
screenshot most things and just
Yeah,
paste it into our template, which is good. While you
you're
were pointing that
right.
out, something that I think people can use really well too, and if we pop over to my screen, I'll show you one
Yeah,
of my favorite types of templates to share over to have here on Adobe Express. It's a media kit, and this goes hand in hand with. I know we're not. I know this episode isn't about brand partnerships, but talking about the many ways that it's good to have analytics and reporting on the performance of your content and the metrics. If you go into Adobe Express, you can search up tons of things to go with the Media Kit template tagline. And these are great places to take the analytics that Phil just showed, which have to do with where your audience comes from, right? Maybe the gender of your audience or the gender split or breakdown of your audience, when your audience is most active, how frequently you post, and how many accounts you reach overall. When you do get these larger sources of analytics that are usually much better than what Instagram gives us, I will say, and that's why it's good to
yeah.
have a secondary social media management tool. You can put it into, again, find any one of these, add your brand to it, and these are great one pagers that you can send to brands that you may work with because they'll want to know that info in a quick and easy to consume way.
Bree goes, I need to build one of those too. LOL. Bree, if it's any consolation to you, do. I work with more than 40 brands in a calendar year, and even me, don't have a media kit. We get hired by clients to create media kits for them, and I still don't have one because I put all the information into an email. Whatever works for you, right? Whatever works for you. But if you want to create one, I would say definitely if you're getting started, I think it's more important actually to have one when you're getting started. If you're an established creator that's clearly doing brand deals, then it's less important to like present it almost like a resume. It's kind of like if the job comes from a referral, they're less likely to read the resume line by line and more trust the introduction. um, if you're just getting started, I mean, every single person in every single industry can be doing brand deals on the side. And for me, that's become my primary career and income. It's just kind of wild saying it out loud.
I agree. I think it's something neither of us thought would become as big as it did, which is very
Mm-hmm.
interesting. And it speaks to the opportunities that are out there that people can search for and find.
Absolutely. And even like if you're overwhelmed with the idea of creating a website for yourself, I know it is a big task. You can start in Adobe Express with a web page. You could even, use a web page format for your media kit. You could start with a PDF or a presentation in Express is my favorite content type
Yeah.
in Express. I absolutely love using it for presentations. You've got beautiful templates to start from. Absolutely beautiful templates to start from to just pop the information in there and just kind of get into practice.
So the last type of content that I think is important to share, because we all talk video these days, and if we look at like the metrics you might aim for, whether it is accounts reached, how long people are watching and staying engaged, whether they're sharing or saving it, is of course video. So I do have a reel that I've pulled up here. Let's just restart it back to the beginning. Instagram's gonna probably make it start from somewhere else. But this is a basically trending news style reel that I shared. It's talking about Instagram was working on this feature that lets you hide a post, and I quickly did a few video tutorials and showed off how it works. So the reel's about to restart, and I'll pause it, but I want to show an important way that I like to optimize my content to maximize people sharing it or people viewing it rather than just having the video. Just give it a second.
Tell us. This is how he gets hundreds of thousands of followers, friends. This is how we're gonna do it too.
So we've paused it right here, and it's great that it's paused here because there's actually quite a few hooks going on. Right away, you know that you see that I have new Instagram feature, and this is the kind of triple threat strategy. I know we've spoken about this before for grabbing someone's attention with your video content. So someone who's watching this video right away, they recognize me. It's not, you know, an animated intro like you might have with YouTube. Although I think even YouTube, it's usually the content creator first.
Yep.
They'll do a hook for like 30 seconds or so. You could probably
Yep.
speak to this way better than I can. And then they'll have the intro. Is that correct?
Yeah. That's correct.
Right? It's not opening with the intro animations, not something that's gonna look like an ad or push people away. The idea here is that someone seeing this post is gonna recognize, oh, okay, that's this content creator, that's Lucas, that's who I follow. So first of all, the post is in the right place on my feed. Second, there's a title that's gonna grab someone's attention and tell them approximately what this post is going to be about. In this case, new Instagram feature. And then thirdly, it has the caption. So right away, someone who maybe watched this video and doesn't have sound can know what is happening and maybe choose to just keep watching the video without sound and not have to scroll away. Maybe they'll watch it
Me,
on mute. I watch
I like
most
mute.
content on mute. I do too.
Sometimes I close Instagram just to make it stop making sounds and reopen it, defaulting on silent mode because I don't want to hear it. I just want to see it.
And some content lends to that. This
Yep.
case, clearly people were watching because if we look, and I will say, if you go into Instagram and look at your analytics, you now have like a watchability chart. I don't know if you've seen that, but you get to see your views over time. And it shows like this video had more than typical views. This video had below typical views, which is really good to see. So pop into Instagram and check your analytics for your content for a little bit more than what desktop is currently showing us. But I can see right here that it's been shared by almost 2,000 people. And obviously, not everybody shares their content. So to go from almost 70,000 accounts reached to get 2,000 of those to share this post, that's a significant amount. And that's showing that
It
people were
is.
watching this and sharing it. There's actually something else I want to highlight is that there's more shares than likes. So if you're someone who maybe looks at your likes as like a metric of how your post performed, I want to urge you to think about if people are liking content as much as they used to when it was a photo and you could quickly double tap it. We're seeing that people are sharing content or saving content either more or maybe in replacement of hitting the like button. So it's important why there are so many different metrics to focus on because you never know how someone's going to interact with your content.
The like is almost, I mean, it's not meaningless, but it's getting close in terms of how it compares to some of those other metrics, huh?
It does for sure. It's Instagram doesn't view it as heavily. I've even done like again an infographic post that is like, how Instagram ranks the different metrics and it definitely seems like likes are the ones that are the least important at the moment.
So interesting.
A super easy way to make that triple threat. Here's a video that I recorded when we were live in the studio. Was it 2 weeks ago? Last week? I
Two
don't know
weeks
where the time
ago.
has gone. 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago.
Actually,
But
11 days. I saw that our
oh,
stream
there,
in studio was 11 days ago.
there
Feels
you
like a
go.
lifetime ago.
It does. It does. But very easily, you have your video. So the first hook of the triple threat is going to be easy to get. You can use Adobe Express to add your captions with tons of options. And then just throw in some on screen text that is going to tell someone about the post's contents. So, again, make sure it's only within, I like to do it within the first 5 seconds. Give
Okay.
people time to read it, to scan it, but don't have it on screen for so long that it's distracting from whatever you actually are talking about. But you can very quickly put that in there. Let's say this was about a new Instagram feature. I know it's not. Go ahead, pop that there. I always add an outline. I think it's very important to have an outline. And in this case, I'm going to make it a pretty significantly thick outline so it actually does show
Mm-hmm.
up.
And you've got some good styles in there. I typically do like the block text background, like we do for social media makeover. You can do the outline. You can do so many different styles. You can kind of choose what makes the most sense for your brand. But you do need to think about like visibility and legibility is super important in this stage.
Yeah, let's show that. Let's see if we have like our blue. I might have my beige. I like the beige because it's a darker background. And then right there, it's telling someone right away what the post is going to be about. You might think it's like invasive to the content of your video, it's going to be in the way. People don't think that way. They want to have that information, and we scan things a lot faster than we sit down and read, right? So if you're actually
Yeah.
quickly having that appear on screen, it could help you get some good results on your video. That's going to have people watching it and sticking around, hopefully getting some numbers like the ones we see here. Let me zoom on in. There we go.
Yeah, zoom
But
on in and distill those important takeaways. Friends that have stuck with us for the full hour live, I'm impressed. I know you're creative and I know you probably don't love spreadsheets and numbers, but this is so important for content creation.
And again, these are all things you can track in this document. Go ahead, make a copy of it, and you can actually enter in your own numbers to make sure that it's going to help you also be accountable, or not only be accountable to tracking your content and specific posts, but seeing how you've grown. I think everyone focuses on, whether their audience is growing and they're getting follows, but you might actually find a lot of value or appreciation for seeing that maybe your audience isn't growing, but you're getting way more comments, right? Maybe you're getting meaningful comments. That's I put meaningful here because it's like you could just paste some screenshots of some interesting comments that you want to remember or you want to highlight because they show that people are engaged with your content and listening.
Yeah.
It's a lot to do it. Go ahead and use it. And if you do, tag us, show it on your stories because I love to see how people use our templates after this show.
I know. It's so cool. And I can't believe this is episode 9. We have 9 different remixable templates. Each stream that we've done builds on itself. We know that today was maybe not the most riveting subject, but you know by now how important it is to essentially full time content creators are telling you track your numbers. It goes hand in hand with the content that you're creating. And this is the way that you're going to know tangibly how to get better as you move forward. That was fun. That was
That
really
was.
fun.
That was
Yeah,
good.
I know it's numbers, it's overwhelming, but friends, you'll get the hang of it. Just get in the rhythm of tracking. And listen, we have 2 more episodes before a little break, the end of this season. So we have 1 more next week and 1 more the week after. So we'll see you 1 week from today. Thank you for hanging out with us. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you back in a week. Sound good?
See you soon. Sounds
See you
good.
then.